Mhm.
Just okay, it's started. So, Vaishakh, how are you?
Yeah, good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good.
So, are you? Can we start the interview now? Fine.
Yeah, fine. We can start.
Okay. So, first of all, let me tell you about the competition. So,
Mhm.
basically, we are interviewing you for our submission in Aim to Flourish. And Aim to
Mhm.
Flourish is basically an international platform wherein stories about startups are shared, which majorly focus on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Mhm.
And since we identify your organization as one of the organizations that supports uh, a few of the goals of the SDGs, so it's our like we decided to approach you for this opportunity. So thanks for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
And
you so much. Yeah, like, thank you for considering as well.
so Vaishak, why don't we start
Mhm.
by you telling us about Creto?
So Creto is basically a platform. We help startups to hire freelancers in tech, design, content, and marketing domain. So basically building a platform for startups to build their next great ideas through freelancing industry. Because we know that freelancing industry is a massive industry in the country with almost $30 billion market cap by 2025. So it's a massive industry that's currently growing in the country. And there are almost 15 million freelancers in the country and more than 1 million, 1 lakh plus startups currently active in the country. So, but majority of the freelancing industry in the India is especially unstandardized when it comes to hiring processes and all. So, Creto focuses on bringing whole standardization to the industry, making emphasis on providing sustainable quality, pricing, and dedicated support. And especially, we are making this platform for startups because startups are the main audience who are looking for hiring freelancers in the initial stage of development, because startups are a group of companies which do not have the capex or the the potential to hire full-time employees, so they are highly relevant on dependent on freelancers. So we are trying to get the gap filled up by helping them to hire freelancers. And the main motive of Creto is to build a platform that's specially made for the Indian market, because when it goes to other foreign platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and all, so they focus majorly on the European markets and other markets. So that eventually has a huge high level of competition, followed by delayed payment cycles, currency conversion rates, and huge commissions. So we aim to make freelancing much more profitable and sustainable when it comes to the whole Indian perspective, and helping startups to build their next big idea.
Okay. Uh, Thanks for that. Then I'm curious, like, what measures, as you said that it's quite like the market is not quite sustainable in Europe and America. So, what measures does Creto take to ensure a fair compensation, skill development, and social security for freelancers in our country?
Okay, so the main focus what we are focusing on, as I mentioned, it's majorly in the standardization of pricing and quality. So what I mean by standardization of pricing and quality means, as you know, like in freelancing platform, wherever you go, any freelancing platform, suppose you want to hire a freelancer, example, you want to hire a web developer. So you can see
Mhm.
that you can get freelancers from varied price ranges, starting from 1,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees. So it is like the no standardization of pricing there. Like you don't have a clear picture about what's the actual pricing for a web development project. And also it makes an ambiguity among freelancers also to to make them understand what's the price they should be eligible to get, because on other platforms, due to heavy competitions, only two types of people earn money. Either it's the people who have very good experience, who makes money, and someone who has
Mhm.
mediocre level, like kind of intermediate level of experience there. But the entry level people or other kind of people who are just exploring the platform do not get much opportunities there. So it eventually creates much problems. And also, when you're hiring a freelancer, suppose you're hiring a developer or any freelancers, so you're also not aware about the pricing and all. So you go to Fiverr or any other platform, you simply go through the platform like, I need a logo designer. So you'll see hundreds and hundreds of profiles, each having their individual pricing strategies, and everyone, like everyone, someone charges 100 rupees, someone charges 1,000, and on the other hand, someone charges 1 lakh rupees. So you're also, you as an employer is also getting confused. Ki, yaar, what's the price range I should, what's the ideal budget and what's the industrial standard for the freelancing industry. And apart from that, there comes the main problem. That is, there is no one to take care of things in the freelancing industry. So when you go to hiring an employee or any intern, the processes are very much organized and set up. Like right from the hiring to execution, I mean the onboarding process. there is someone in the middle to take care of things. In freelancing, there's nothing called that standardization of support. Suppose you hire a freelancer, it's a 50-50 bet. The freelancer will work for you till the completion of the project. या बीच में कभी कभी पैसे लेके भाग जाता है वो. Yeah, any kind of things happen. Like somewhat, if the project is very complex, the freelancers are like, like they don't ensure the safety of your data or any projects that you're working on. So that's where Creto steps in. We aim to solve this problem because we believe that people hire freelancers because they want to build the next big product. And if we can't provide, necessary things like, standardization of quality, pricing, support, so it eventually creates problems. So what Creto is solving is like, we have a escrow milestone-based payouts. So suppose, Saurav, you're hiring a freelancer through Creto, you post your requirements with Creto. So we have a redefined hiring process. Suppose you want to hire a web developer. So Creto asks you the questions like, what are the requirements you're looking for? Like, what's the detail of the website you're looking in? How many pages are required? Do you require this? Do you require that? It's kind of very simple. Like we are kind of getting back to the basics, redefining the whole process of hiring, rather than just going to the freelancer and telling, hey, can you do this for me? I need this, I need that, I need that. Then you sit and argue with them, like you can do this also. Just cutting that thing out. We just make it much simple. We're giving you options to choose with. Like, hey, I need a website, homepage is required, backend page is required. The developer should have an experience of 1 to 3 years. My deadline is 50 days. So once you put this, Creto recommends you the budget, and that too based on the industrial standards. So see, the hiring process, the hiring trajectory has been cut from 5 steps to almost 2 to 3 steps. So we are just redefining the hiring process itself. Okay, I need this thing. Creto recommends you the budget, and after getting the budget, you just post it on the platform, and freelancers will come and approach you. You don't have to go and approach them as on other platforms like, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that? So you just list your project. The freelancers will come and approach you. Hey, can I do this for this much amount? Is it fine? Then you can get on a call. Like a discussion with the chat itself. After that, once you decide the project has been finalized with the freelancer, you give the escrow payment money to Creto. You give the whole advance amount to Creto. Creto keeps the money in their escrow accounts. You don't have to think about the money being properly given or not. So whole thing has been secured here with proper dedicated MOUs, dedicated support person, followed by some project tracker as well, inbuilt project tracker, which supports milestone payments. So that's the main security we're providing. After that, we have the money and you start the project. So we have a project tracker wherein you decide the task mutually. So that's another problem. Like when you hire a freelancer, majority of the time it happens like, the freelancers are like, hey, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. It's not it's out of my scope. And sometimes employer also say, hey, can you do this also? Please, it's a small task. So you're just cutting that out. Like you have a tracker where you both the parties mutually decide, hey, this is the task we have to set in, and you both the parties agree that, and it's automatically get fed to the system.
So you don't have to do any extra work for the.
No, nothing. And you can't do also. Once the task has been decided, you cannot get back because both the parties are mutually deciding. So after that, you have the whole project tracker that goes in, and Creto has 3 payment cycles, 3 milestone payments. Suppose you hire a developer, app developer, and in the app development, there are almost 100 steps involved, like 100 micro tasks involved. So what we are doing is like we're dividing the whole 100 tasks into 3 parts, basically. So on completion of the first 33 tasks, the freelancer will get the 1/3 of the payment. On next, we get the 1/3. On third, we get the 1/3. So that's a whole streamlined procedure. You don't even have to think about the payment, who's taking care of the thing, the project part. So everything all inbuilt. You have inbuilt this thing, Messenger as well. So you can directly chat there in the platform itself. So that's something, we are just streamlining the whole process of hiring itself, because majority of the platform, we spoke to almost 40 plus startups from multiple domains, from edtech, space, travel, tourism, fintech, things like that. So all of the startups just ask us 3 things. Can you just assure us quality, pricing, and support? Because we don't need other things. Like a lot of people are doing this thing. A lot of platforms like Fiverr and Upwork have this thing. They have freelancers and from all domains, but they don't assure the quality. They don't assure the pricing. They don't assure the support. So if you can just solve this thing, itself is a big thing, because this is what exactly they do for the initial.
Cutting out all the clutter and streamlining.
Yeah, exactly. We're streamlining the whole process and streamlining the whole hiring journey. So we want to redefine the whole hiring journey itself. Like earlier, hiring a freelancer used to be a massive thing. Like you have to check with your contacts. Hey, got anyone in your contacts? Then you talk to them. Hey, can you do this for me? Then you have to discuss the topic. The project. Then the pricing. Then you set the task. Then arguments happens. Hey, I can't do this. I can't do that. Then you set the milestone. Then you set the deadlines. And freelancers obviously misses out the deadlines.
Yeah.
In majority of the cases, freelancers do not complete things on time. And that's because of this thing. There's no one to take care of it. So there also Creto steps in, like, the payments are automated. So in case if the freelancer misses out the deadline, the payments are automatically deducted as well. And in case of any ticket, any issues or any problems arises, the Creto is there in the middle to solve the things out. So the whole process itself is streamlined right from hiring to execution. There's people with you in whole support, and every freelancers on Creto are quality vetted. So we check their profiles manually as of now. We are setting up a whole process for that as well. Eventually based on their skill set and all. So their profiles are also verified, and even the startups are also verified because majority of the time on platforms, majority of many platforms, they have this fake profiles and fake projects. They actually don't do projects. They just come and spam you up like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? So every project on Creto is verified and every startup is verified. So that's a whole complete core to the standardization setup. Yeah.
Hi, Vaishakh.
Hi.
So, one thing that I wanted to discuss with you is that can you share success stories of individuals who found well-being and economic stability through Creto?
You need specifically of startups itself who have built the product or like the people who have worked with Creto?
People who have worked with Creto.
Okay. So there are few, two, three cases I especially would like to mention. One is a freelancer named Sajeevan Chakraborty. So he's a freelancer. So he's basically a graduate design student from MIT School of Design, Pune. So he's a UI UX designer who is working with Creto. So his journey with Creto has been a very interesting one. So he started just as a normal. He joined a WhatsApp community basically, and from there was a startup called Touch Inc. It's a cloud computing startup based in Bangalore. So they're building computing solutions for people which are device agnostic. And when I say device agnostic, means like you can run their operating system on their MacBook, Windows, or any kind of laptops you have, irrespective of your specifications and anything. So they are making the whole system based on blockchain. So they were looking for a designer who can develop the UI UX for the whole complete operating system. So Sayan was the freelancer who started working here, and it was a 3 month long project. And Sayan almost, we are happy to say Sayan almost earned 90,000 rupees within 3 months. I mean, like that's something a fresher engineer in the industry gets. Me being an engineer, I know the basic salaries of that. You did job as well. So my basic salary was around 20,000 when I started my job. So Sayan just within 3 months made 90,000. So that's one thing. Like as a student, it was a very big financial help for him. Being students, like you have a lot of expenses and things like stuff like that. So like 90,000 helps Sayan a lot when it comes to making money and sustaining his basic necessities. And apart from that, Sayan also got a greater opportunity to work with the startups. The startup now are planning to get him on board as a chief design officer itself. So we see Sayan growing as just a freelancer to a chief design officer of a company, all within 3 months with financial stability going in the background. So that's the level of impact you create to the people when they work with Creto. Like obviously the monetary part, apart from that, that's a huge exposure to the massive ecosystem they get, which other platforms aren't providing at their point. Like you have to go to the profiles like Naukri, LinkedIn, and all. They search for jobs and all. But working with a startup in the initial days, building what their product is, understanding it, working with the core team, the experience of level you get and knowledge you get is something very different. So Sayan, even he just told you, like, he was a design student. So there are a lot of things they were still learning, and they were supposed to be learned in the next semesters. But within the 3 months, he learned a lot of things like that were actually covered in the syllabuses ahead. So that's the learning curvature also you get when you work with startups. And it's true, like when you work with a startup, the learning potentials and capabilities are just beyond potential and like skyrocketing pace. Because like in normal companies, things are very much structured. Like it takes almost 3 months to learn a just basic skill. Here in a startup, you work for 1 week, skills are done. So that's the level of learning path and pace you get. Next, another freelancer I would like to mention was a freelancer named Abhishek. So Abhishek also was working for a SaaS company based in Bangalore. So the name of the company was Vaishakh. So they were building a SaaS applications, basically helping companies to track their customer management and customer churn rate. So Abhishek was given the role of developing the whole software for the front end and back end and the MVP basically. So we were happy to say like Abhishek almost got 1 lakh rupees for just the project. The duration of the project was 3 months. So that's again a fair enough money. I mean, like for a college student who has a college fees of 1 lakh 25. So within 3 months, you're just clearing out your exam, semester whole year fees. So that's a big financial impact we saw for people's life, how they are actually students, right, doing the freelance, during the college semesters itself, they're able to pay out their whole year's fee. That's a big financial leverage when it comes to freelancing. And the best part of freelancing is like you're getting the freedom of work, followed by the freedom where you want to work with, in the time you want to work with. Because jobs and everything have a whole structure. But again, mark my words, we are not against jobs or anything. But it gives you leverage to work in your own boundaries and set your own goals and earnings and financial wellness. So that's an impact we are seeing. Even for companies also, like we when hiring freelancers, provide more sustainable solutions to them, like to work with people across wide variety of talents, different demographics. So that makes it more profitable also. And it's very interesting a pattern we saw. Like we actually were planning to start in the Mumbai region. So we were like, okay, we'll go with the Mumbai part. Like we'll capture the Mumbai market first, and then we'll expand to other parts of the countries like Bangalore, Delhi, Gurgaon. But interestingly, when we started off, within the first 15 days, we got all the traction from Gurgaon and Bangalore, and then we got into Mumbai. Like the potential to scale and the cross functionality, the remote working culture has a different level of possibilities. So you can imagine a guy sitting in Mumbai is working with a guy with a startup based in Gurgaon, which eventually would have been a little bit difficult process if they have to go and apply to the job, then getting selected and all, then after getting ahead. So that's the cross functionality and the potential of remote work culture we are also seeing. So these are the impacts we have witnessed.
Thank you, Vaishakh, for your input. Yeah, so I'm Rishikesh, and on the similar lines, there's one SDG 8 which talks about, decent work and economic growth. So, asking on those lines, my question was that how does Creto foster innovation and entrepreneurship within the startup ecosystem?
Okay. So we, as I mentioned in the beginning itself, so we are basically a platform for startups to build their next big ideas. So that itself, I think, answers the whole question and the whole scenario of how we are fostering the whole ecosystem, because we are seeing startups who come with idea, just an idea. I remember a startup called this thing, Finergy. So they were just an idea when they came to Creto. So they were just a idea of fintech startup. They were into investing and all. So they had their own journey starting up from there. Like, they were hiring freelancers through us, building projects, things like that. So we see that journey, like how exactly the impacts are going. Like we are a platform where we can see the startups actually taking place or taking birth. There's another startup called Richin. So Richin was from this thing, Noida. So Richin was focusing on building a platform for trading and investing powered by AI. So when founder of Richin approached me, it was just an idea, a vague PPT idea. It was like, hey, I want to build this product. I'm looking to hire some freelancers. Can you help me out with this thing? I said, yeah, we can just list on the platform and eventually we can start working with them. And from there, we saw the product being built, like from just an idea to hiring freelancers to building their MVP to building the prototype, then eventually getting into the funding stage itself. So we see a whole journey of how an idea is being built. So we believe that we are not just a platform to work. We are just a platform to actually, catalyze the whole entrepreneurial journey and the whole ecosystem of startups itself. Because we build ideas on the platform, and that's how something majority of the places don't do. And like that, we are very happy also. Like we build startups through Creto itself. So that's how I think that's the impact we can bring onto the platform. And also whenever every startup is born, it's a very basic thing you say, like, startups create jobs, and it's true. We've seen multiple and secondary, tertiary levels of employments being created. So Richin hired a developer. The developer was working. Then they required another designer. So they hired another designer. Then they hired a UI UX guy. So a single startup itself is creating almost 3 to 4 kind of employments. And you just imagine the numbers, like 20 startups hire, it's almost 20 into 3, 60 jobs created.
60, yeah, correct.
So that's the level of impact we bring onto the platform and the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Hi, Vaishakh. This is
Hi.
Yash. And I just wanted to know what differentiates Creto from other freelance platforms or startup support initiatives.
Okay. So I'll just keep the answers in two part. Basically, it's basically a segmented answer. So first of all, the platforms, other platforms, as I mentioned, like the platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer.in, Contra, and other stuff like that. So they are just platforms basically for hiring freelancers, and each platform has their own individual way of working. So on Fiverr, I'll just get down more deep. On Fiverr, there is a concept of buyer and seller. Suppose Saurabh is a freelancer, and Khushi wants to hire a freelancer. Khushi is basically an employer here. So what she will do is she will go to the freelancer.com, I mean Fiverr.com, and she will type, "Hey, I need a designer, UIS designer." So she will see lots of profiles. Like there, she will find Yash. There, she will find Rishikesh as well. So she have to go and talk to every freelancer. "Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Can you design this project? Can you design that project?" Then sit and decide the pricing and all. That extends the whole trajectory of hiring. So it makes more cumbersome, difficult to hire them also. And also, when you have a buyer and seller concept and kind of marketplace concept, it eventually creates more competition in when it comes to optimizing your profiles as well. It's like your Amazon story. You need to keep on optimizing a profile to rank higher in the game, get more traction, get more visibility. So that eventually creates more difficulty when it for the startups also to hire, and I mean like the freelancers looking for opportunities. Then you go to platforms like Upwork and all. Upwork is mostly focusing on corporates and higher level projects, and like basically work with enterprises. So they are moreover in a very little bit a step above a professional stage. They want to work with professional freelancers. So entry level and intermediate level people don't get opportunities there. And plus they have commissions as well. And all the commissions are in US dollars, and also eventually it makes more difficult. I think it makes less profitable for Indian freelancers because the concept of currency conversion and things happen here because we belong to the Asia continent and the Indian part. So they focus majorly on the European markets, US markets. So after their escrow payment cutting out, deduction, foreign currency charges, commissions and all, the money you get in your pocket is very less. And eventually within after all this cutthroat competition. So that's something then these platforms have in common problems. So Indian freelancers find it difficult working on this. Yeah, no doubt, you make money out there. If you have good talent, good experience, you make money. But it's kind of 1 in 100 people making money out there. Rest everyone are just setting their profiles idle. Even yesterday also I was talking to some freelancer who is a very top rated freelancer on a platform called Contra. So he was telling the same problem. Yeah, there's no platform specially made for Indian platform, Indian continent. I mean like Indian part. So it becomes difficult when it comes to the pricing, commission, and things like that. You get money, but the commissions you pay out is just hell lot of money. I'll just tell you a very basic mathematics. Suppose you pay 20% of the commission, and on a month you do a 1,000 rupee project. That's 200 rupees you are paying out of commissions, and in a year you are doing out almost 100 projects like that. So imagine the number of commissions you are just paying out. 20% is a massive number. Oh, no doubt we do have commissions, but our commission numbers are very less. And plus these commissions, plus this escrow money, deductions, foreign charges, things like that. So it takes the profit also. Like you're getting 20,000, then it comes to again 15 to 18%. So it makes it more difficult for you to sustain there, followed by the cutthroat competition also. So I think that's the main part. And
You offer
these
a
platforms
more
are,
balanced thing. You offer a more balanced
yeah,
thing,
we
which
are
feels
focusing for
somewhat like
more balance.
freelance.com and Creto.
Yeah, we're looking for more balance. I mean, like we're building platform that is something both sustainable for both sides of the spectrum. I mean, like for the employer and the freelancer, both sides of the spectrum. We're building something that's really sustainable and profitable. And these platforms aren't built for startups. We are just focusing specially for startups only. So that again is a main thing. So earlier I was explaining how we create employment. So basically startups come to the platform, so they create jobs. On there, it's different. They just work with companies, the projects are done, that's it, you move away. So that's something, the level of impact and the differentiation we have.
Yeah, thanks, Vaishakh. I'd like to ask the next question on the basis of the United Nations SDGs. So, majorly focusing on the eighth SDG, which promotes decent work and economic growth, and the ninth SDG, which promotes industry innovation and infrastructure. So, how can individuals, policymakers, or even organizations collaborate with Creto to like further amplify its impact on these SDGs?
So basically, as I mentioned, like, creating impact to the whole ecosystem itself. So we basically work with startups itself, like, which may be company. And the one thing we observe, like, we are not restricted to a single domain of industry. So we do have startups who are working in FMCG, then startups in fintech, automobile, space travel, and tourism. So the level of impact we has is like the exposure to the industry is big. So it's a platform where all industries come together. So that itself is a unification of all the things happening around. You can find multiple domains in a single platform. So the level of the job creation and the opportunities created are much bigger. And obviously, with this, it eventually contributes more to the industries itself, from the respective industries itself. Suppose a fintech startup builds a product through Creto, so they are eventually creating more impact in that industry. Then suppose a startup in space travel and tourism is building a product, like not suppose a developer or a designer. So they are creating an opportunity for that ecosystem of the whole industry itself. So every startup born in every domain is creating an opportunity for that domain. Fintech startups create opportunities in fintech domain. Space travel create opportunities for this thing, engineers and all. So when every idea is built, it's contributing more to the domain itself or the ecosystem itself. It's like adding drops of water and becoming ocean.
So, Vaishakh, like now, like you have focused your startup on the two SDGs. So, do you plan on further like accumulating your business, like accommodating your business to the other SDGs?
Yeah, we do have other plans as well. Like, we are working on, more other aspects. Like, we Creto is not just restricting ourselves to just a platform for building hiring freelancers and all. So we wish to explore more in the technological aspect. I mean, like, we are focusing more over into, to elevate the way how people around the world works, how the organizations work around the world. So I think that eventually will be contributing more to more sustainability in the employment sector itself, more financial wellness to people, followed by, the enhancing the way of work culture itself around the world. Because we have seen a pattern, like, especially after the COVID thing, the remote culture is actually booming, and it's gonna be there, because we observe a pattern. Like, we spoke to many freelancers and many people around the age group of 18 to 27, and there's a pattern, like majority of the people are very much interested to take up remote working and full-time job. I mean, like, work from anywhere jobs. So this culture is growing, and we know if we can actually leverage this thing, it eventually will be helping more productivity to the whole sector and the industries itself. And eventually, when people having more freedom of work and more leverage to do things, it eventually leads to their human well-being as well. So that's something which, so we are focusing on a whole round development of people, both financially, mentally, and the organization as well as well.
Yeah, Vaishakh, yeah, so what do you think about gender equality? Because that is also like an important SDG which talks about gender equality. There's a lot of disparities also in our country, like there are a lot of male-centric societies. So,
Yeah.
what is your opinion on this?
Yeah, so I think, so we on Creto itself, like, we always say, like, it's a platform for people with skills, and it is nothing else. So if you have the skills, you have the opportunities. So we also believe in a society ahead. Where, like, people are not differentiated on the basis of their gender, religion, sexual orientation, or whatever things. It's all that matters is the skill set and the potential and the ability to execute things. So we seen people of different age groups working with us. Like, we have people who have been in their 30s, who have been who are just college students, almost 18 years, 20 years. And both a majority of the time we see, like, a lot of women freelancers coming up, like women working up, leading the front in building products and startup. So I think it's not never be restricted to any kind of gender or any other metrics in the society. It's moreover should be the people. Like, we believe in a human first company, where the people, we treat everyone as a human, and think, believe that, every people contributes on their best to the society and the organizations itself. So we are completely equal and have a very liberal view on when it comes to, opportunities for everyone.
Okay.
Hi, Vaishakh. Actually, I could
Hi.
observe a very important thing from the conversation we had is that the transaction cost is reduced significantly through your startup. Like two examples which hit me were like first was like you work with people or freelancer where from the FMCG till the space exploration work.
Tourism.
Uh, and another thing was like a person from Mumbai could work for a person from Gurgaon. So I would like to more on this. I would like to know more on this. How do you ensure that energy usage or the traveling cost or the logistics work or even the transaction cost, as I mentioned earlier, is reduced through the work you do?
So yeah, so that's the main. I think that's the beauty of freelancing and the whole concept of remote working itself. Because remote working comes with a lot of leverage and possibilities. Because I think all thanks to the internet revolution, but the culture of remote is just taking ahead. Like the people I see many people working around from different companies, different countries. There's very lot of startups, as I mentioned, Creto also. Like they're based in Gurgaon. People from Mumbai are working. So when you have this kind of facility and ability to work, it's giving more leverage to people also to be there in their own space of creativity and enthusiasm and to focus on building products and working together there. Apart from that, as I mentioned, like when a person is in their own space, own place of freedom, working with that, the cost of the company is also very less because the companies don't have to focus on getting an employee in the full time, getting this thing, travel allowance, renting space allowance and stuff like that. So eventually cuts the cost for a company also. So that's the main factor here, and especially for startups, it's very important. You're building a startup, and you have a small budget and things like that. You can't afford 20 people working in an office space, or just getting an office just for 20 people to work with. It's better you work with 20 people who are remote, irrespective of wherever they are from. So that's the kind of profitability and sustainability for a startup in the initial days. And as I mentioned, like in a sense, people are not commuting to all other places. Eventually gives them more space and like more freedom to do things they actually wanted to do. I think it provides a whole round development for an individual itself. Like when you get freedom of work and you find you happy in what you do, I think like it helps you to grow as evolve as a person itself. The whole individual development happens there. So yeah.
So you might have not thought of it, but you covered SDG 12 right now at this place, that is responsible production and consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Vaishakh. So, apart from the SDGs that we've already discussed, is there any other SDG that you're focusing to target in future?
Apart from other SDG, like all the SDGs mentioned, like currently we are not focusing on. I think what we are looking is like gender equality is something, as I mentioned earlier, like gender more opportunities for equal, more opportunities for everyone, irrespective of the gender. Like so, and that we're actually able to do it. Like we have seen a lot of women entrepreneurs on the platform who are actually building a lot of amazing products. Like so, even the Bangalore startup I said, Vaishakh. So she itself is a female entrepreneur. So the one thing as an entrepreneur also, I see like a lot of women are coming up in the industry, making impact on a larger level. I think to some extent it's sometimes more or above what men have did so far. Like that's a very good thing we've seen. Like now more opportunities have been created by women. Like many sectors which were completely considered to be more this thing dominant earlier. I think women are taking the lead there, but I think it's not the fact. Like even men are doing their best. So I think more sustainability and equality is in the future ahead. So I think it's more over towards equal opportunities for every gender that we're looking on. I think then another opportunity I would focus on is like reduced inequalities. So I think since remote culture has one more potential where we have seen like there are people who have a lot of problems like people with disabilities or any other problems or illness, but they have a lot of talent and potential in them. But just because of that thing, it's hampering their whole career growth. And I think here the role of this remote culture working and everything has more opportunities for them because with the advent of internet and the technological growth, so people from every domain, like people who are having any special problems, like disability issues, any kind of issues, even they are getting the opportunities that they once were not able to get. So that's something we are actually focusing on the next generation. We actually have a plans like to create something on a more societal level because we believe that there are a lot of people or a major part of like big part of the society who's actually has a massive level of potential, but they're not able to do things just because of their any kind of disabilities or challenges they have. Very interestingly, there's one startup in Creto community. It's a startup. So the founder itself is a visually impaired person, but the founding this idea is so beautiful. Like it's actually a fintech startup. So he's one of the best startups in the country right now, so doing very good. So we've seen, I think that the impact these people also are, creating is on a larger level. Who once were thought like, they're just, yeah, life में इसका तो कुछ है ही नहीं. Like it's we just are restricted to a room or four walls. They are actually building their own world out of this. And so I think that's something we will be focusing in the future ahead to create more opportunities for people with reduced difficulties and all.
Vaishakh, yeah, I'm really like mightily impressed with your startup because you are not just running a startup, you are actually building a ecosystem of all the startups, and not just startups, also you are connecting the freelancers in them. So, like you are indirectly building a community wherein you are promoting like the startup culture that you are itself a part of. Plus, you are promoting employment because in India, I can see a huge disparity where people with skills, people with talent don't get the opportunities. So you are
Yeah,
providing it to them, and
yeah.
moreover, yeah,
This is something even I have experienced. So I'm not to brag here, but yeah. Me and Saurav actually were from the same college itself. So I think he knows that. Like during college placement, like the whole structure of hiring placement, everything goes in a very structured way. The people just was no pointer hota hai. So you guys can cut it out if it's not in the
exactly,
meeting. But yeah, so majority of the time there's a part like people who have very good pointers, like 9 pointer guys always get the super fantastic jobs, 7.6, 5.9, whatever. But there are a lot of people around who still have 6 pointers and 5 pointers, and they actually have the potential to build things up. But society believes in a very structured manner. Ki, nahi, if you have good pointers, man, you are coming for the interview or not coming. And in Creto, I've seen one thing: people who had a very weak academic backgrounds were the one who just built crazy stuff. So I came across multiple founders, multiple freelancers, people who had legit academic setbacks, like they are just have dropouts. So I have few founders who are legit dropouts, legit college dropouts. I have few friends who are from dropped out from Harvard as well. So they are proving the fact like the education, the structured education itself is not the barrier to build things. I think it's more over the person, the personality, and the skill set, the hustle you carry on to build. I think that's the main thing. So Creto is always there, like, focusing on the main agenda of Creto was there. No, we should not restrict opportunities on academics or education. It should always be based on their skills, not even on the person who they are. It's the skills that actually matter. And I think the whole generation ahead is based for people of skill set and all. So I think the whole concept of structured education academics will be changing in the coming years, we believe.
exactly. And one more thing I'd like to point out, like since you're working with startups, like I'm sure that the startup, as you mentioned, they are like from a variety of fields. So now you are being in touch with all the startup founders. Now, I'm sure that you are in regular touch with them. Also, you are in touch with freelancers. So there's a huge network that you are currently in touch with in the startup ecosystem, in the corporate ecosystem. So I'd like to ask you, since the world is moving towards a more sustainable future, so since you are in touch with this community, so I want to ask you, like from the first person perspective, how positive the future looks in the on the lines of sustainable development.
I think Rohan, the whole part of sustainability. I think I would, before addressing that, I would say that like the concept of entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem is in the country is booming. So when big people say like like it's, the next decade is for the India, like the century itself is for the India. So it's they mean it. They mean it because I've seen a lot of startups coming up, like multiple domains. Major big companies are coming up. Like you can't even imagine the level of potential people in the country having. So there's a startup in my community called Astrobone. So they're building India's first travel startup. So we're helping people go into space with their own space travel programs, and they are building space travel capsules basically that can fit into any kind of spaceships. That is something Tesla, like even SpaceX hasn't haven't done before. So that's I can see that that level of impacts are coming up in the country itself. So sustainability and like a lot of clean energy startups, EV startups, startups in fintech and other relevant sources are coming up. So I think the whole sustainability part, I think the more than sustainability, these startups have the potential to take the economy to the next level and create millions and millions of opportunities. So very optimistic that the future ahead is very much sustainable and beneficial for everyone. Would be great, like would always love to see more startups coming up in the domains of clean energy and sustainability, because I think that's the need of the hour right now, because a lot of climatic stuff happen around. So we believe that like a lot of climatic startups will also be coming up in the generation, especially in the renewable energy sectors. So we are optimistic about it.
So, Vaishak, it was amazing this interview. You have answered all the questions with at length, and they were so satisfactory. And the one major thing was that I learned so much through this interview. And so I would like to thank you for your valuable time and appreciate your startup, the way you are connecting business with sustainability. Uh, this is more than what can be done by an individual. So thank you and congratulations and all the best for the future endeavors of your startup.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like it's really nice talking to you guys as well. Like so like really good. Like learned a lot of things. Like even when Saurav shared with me all the details of the United Nations sustainability goals and all. So I think it was also very insightful for me as well. Like, as an entrepreneur, it's a kind of a lens that I put in towards myself to see what we are today, like what we are doing. Because many of the time you just are busy building a product around and focusing on getting things done. So this kind of activities, gets you more disciplined towards, have a different perspective towards the whole things you're building. कि business ही बनाना धंधा बनाना वो scene छोड़ के कि नहीं क्या चल रहा है आसपास में भी, how the world is moving ahead. So I think it's more insightful for me in that perspective.
Okay, so we end this interview here. Thank you so much for your time, Vaishakh.
Yeah, sure. So you guys all are doing MBA.
Yes,
Right.
so we are
Yeah, we are all
from
first
GIM.
years from GIM.
First years, everyone in the first year. Okay. So
First
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah.
from engineering background here? I think you can turn off this thing. Like recording is there. So.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think
Recording is
that's
there, so I
fine.
just want to ask like,
Yeah.
so off kar do.